My BF says he's not interested in me anymore after I got carried away and made this small mistake.
The things we sometimes do because we feel pressured or we want to please friends really get us in serious trouble. I don't even know what had come over me that day, but I made a little mistake that cost me my man. Worst part, I don't even know the main reason he suddenly lost attraction to me. Imagine being told in the face that he had lost attraction to me after one silly mistake. I know I shouldn't have done it. I wished I had done things differently, but I couldn't. I lost him because of my stupidity. You know, sometimes trying to make people happy or seeking validation from other people, including your friends or family, may sometimes lead you in hot water, and you might lose yourself in the process, plus your happiness. Imagine losing someone who you had thought you would live your happily ever after and grow old together, suddenly loses interest in you. I know someone might have been through what I had gone through. Please let me know how you dealt with it without losing yourself in the process. So this is how my story goes. I, female 24, met my boyfriend Alex, male 28, at a festival that was happening in Times Square. Well, he saw me with my girls since I was going with them. He asked one of my friends, they had already known each other from high school, to join them as he was also going with his friends. When Polly, my friend, came to us and told us that her high school mate had asked us to join them where they were, we said, why not? The more the merrier, right? We went to join them and we had so much fun. As much as I was an outgoing person, but I was not bubbly like my friends were. I was kind of shy, especially when chilling with strangers. So Alex introduced the guys and himself and vice versa. I won't lie and say it was not epic because it was lit. I enjoyed chilling with Alex and his friends. They were funny and full of life. So after like a few hours, Alex asked to speak to me on the side because our friends were too loud. I had already seen the way he would steal a glance at me if he wanted to say something. Alex is a very handsome and charming guy. I had been looking at him throughout the whole festival up until he asked me on the side. My heart was beating so fast because I didn't know why he wanted to speak to me on the side and what he wanted to talk about. As charming as he was, Alex looked like those guys who would date a girl just for intimacy and dump them after he is teary of you or had found someone else better. I agreed to speak to him. Well, more like him speaking to me because he was the one who asked me on the side. He started by complimenting me and telling me that he would like to see me again after the festival and it would be just the two of us. Yes, he was charming and all that, but I didn't trust him. I couldn't trust him. I mean, I had just met him in like 2 seconds, and already he wanted to take me on a date. That was a very bad move for him. I opted to give him my number. I couldn't go out with him the day after I had seen him once. What if he was a serial killer, so it was a better option for me to start getting to know him over the phone and to see what kind of a person he was before meeting up with him alone? I mean, a lot of things were and still are happening on this earth that we live in, so I couldn't risk it. 2 days later, he texted me and we started chatting a lot. I found out that he was actually a very good and humble guy. Yes, he looked like what we call a playa, but looks can be deceiving. And he was, what I must say, do not judge a book by its cover. His handsome and charming self didn't mean he was a playa. From there, we got close, we became friends, and he was smart too. I found out that when I met him, he was 22 years old while I was just 18 years old. He was already in college and I was in my last year in high school. Alex was funny and all that, not to forget that he was also romantic. He knew how to treat a woman, I can give him that. So after some months of getting to know each other, we both couldn't hold the way we were feeling for each other. So he confessed his feelings for me and we took it from there. A relationship was formed, though Polly was kind of against it and told me Alex would leave me once he is enough of me or he no longer felt attracted to me. I thought she was just jealous of my relationship with Alex, but turned out she was just looking out for me. And that time, I had cut off our friendship. I don't want to lie. I regret not taking Polly's advice. But what's done is done, right? We had been dating for 3 years, and everything had been perfect. Alex was handsome, charming, and kind, and I had fallen deeply in love with him. But on that fateful night, I had let my guard down and made a mistake that would haunt me for weeks to come. So my friends and I had planned a girls' getaway trip. We just wanted to have fun and be away from home for the weekend. I was living with my parents in Bryanston and would go to Alex's apartment every now and then. Our relationship was a bliss. We were happy and so much in love. I don't really know the real reason why he suddenly got unattracted to me, because I knew that my small mistake that I had made was not going to make him lose interest in me all of a sudden. The way our relationship looked promising and too perfect. I had hoped that we would end up together forever. I had even introduced him to my parents, and my mother loved him so much. They treated him like their own son, but I guess I had introduced him way too soon. The girls and I went to Dubai for our weekend getaway. We had so much fun. The trip was everything that I had hoped for: sun, sand, and endless fun. But on the third night of our trip, I made a little mistake. So we got other friends there who were also on a holiday, so we joined parties and we had epic fun. No one was guarding anyone. We were all old enough to take care of ourselves, so I had too many drinks. While Alex, on the other hand, had started stressing me out, he had been acting a bit off and cagey. I didn't know what was going on with him, because if I asked him, he would just blow. I had thought he was going through something serious, so he needed to deal with it alone, so I gave him some space and time alone. Time passed, and his behavior got worse, to a point that we would argue a lot. I had suspicions that he was cheating, because whenever I would go to his apartment, he would just act weird or go out with his friends. It was like I was dating his apartment furniture because he was never home. Even our intimacy had started slacking. He would suddenly lose interest during the moment. The trip with the girls really helped me unwind and forget about Alex's issues that he didn't want to share with me. So as we were in Dubai, the group of friends that we had found there were actually there to celebrate one of their friends' birthday party. So they asked us to join them. Some of them were going with their girlfriends, while others were going alone. I missed Alex so much, but I couldn't let him and his issues ruin my weekend getaway. So I pushed everything back and lived in the moment. I had too many drinks, and I was feeling carefree and silly, and before I knew it, I was dancing on the table, singing at the top of my lungs. The guys were laughing and cheering me on, and I loved the attention I was getting. I was letting my wild and happy self loose a little. As I was busy dancing and having fun, I saw this guy by the bar of the club that we were in. He had piercing blue eyes and a charming smile. He was standing at the bar, watching me with interest, and I couldn't help but feel drawn to him. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't resist. He kept looking at me with his sexy eyes. I decided to stop dancing and catch my breath, so I went to the bar to get water because I was too sloshed. He came over to the side where I was getting my cold water, and he introduced himself as Michael. He was even more charming when you looked at him closer. I didn't believe him because I knew myself that when it came to dancing, I had 2 left feet. But I managed to make a plan and move my body whenever I am in the moment or tipsy or drunk. I don't remember much of what we talked about, but I do remember feeling alive and carefree for the first time in months. It was exhilarating, and I couldn't help but wonder what it would be like to be with Alex. But as soon as the thought crossed my mind, I felt a pang of guilt. I knew I was with Alex and I loved him. It was just that he was going through some things. I don't remember much of what went down. The next morning, I woke up full of regrets, a hangover and a sense of dread. I knew I had made a mistake, and I couldn't bear the thought of telling Alex what had happened. I knew that I had betrayed Alex's trust, and I was terrified of how he would react if he was to find out. I tried to push the thought out of my mind and enjoy the rest of the trip, but I just couldn't shake off the feeling of guilt and shame. So as I lay there, I heard a knock at the door. It was Alex, and he looked angry. I was pretty much shocked because I had left Alex behind. I wondered how he got to Dubai. I asked what he was doing there. Instead of answering, he just slapped me. He was fuming. I had never seen Alex being angry like that ever since we had started dating. He asked me what had happened the previous night. I got puzzled because I didn't know nor remember what he was talking about. So I asked him what he was talking about. He started throwing tantrums at me and demanding the truth out of me. So I told him that the girls and I went to the club, and we saw a group of guys with their girlfriends who invited us to join their party, as they were celebrating one of their friends' birthdays. But I left the handsome guy's situation aside because I knew he would just blow out and things would get out of hand. I tried changing the topic to something else. I asked why he came all the way from New York to Dubai, and who told him that we were at the guest house. I started interrogating him because it showed that someone had told him where we were and what had gone down the previous night. So I needed to know who the snitch was because I knew that it was one of the girls. There was no way someone from the group we were chilling with would have had time to make live videos and post them on social media with our location. It didn't make any sense. Alex asked me to tell him the real truth, or he would find it out himself, and I shouldn't even try to change the topic. I knew there and then that I had to come clean, even if it would ruin a lot of things, but I had to. He took out his phone and showed me a video of me dancing on the club's table. It was so embarrassing to watch myself dancing like a loose girl. I knew I had been caught, and I couldn't deny it. I took a deep breath and told him everything, from the moment we went to the club to when I saw the stranger and to the moment I woke up on that morning. Alex listened to me, his face growing more and angrier with each passing word. When I finished, he stood up and paced the room, his hands shaking with rage. He asked me questions I didn't even know how to answer because surely, if I were to answer them, he would get more furious and maybe do something he would regret someday. I know that Alex had anger and trust issues which were caused by his parents, but I had thought he had changed since he had gone to therapy, but you would never know with people who knew how to pretend as if everything was well. He asked why I did what I did to him, and that he thought him and I had something special going on, but he didn't think he would be able to trust me again, after what I had done. Those words pierced through my heart. I didn't have any comeback or response because my heart was really broken by his words. I knew that I had messed up big time, and there was no chance that our relationship would have survived that situation. The chances were like 0.1% to nothing, and there was nothing I would have done. I knew I had hurt and disappointed him, and I felt a deep sense of remorse. I begged him to forgive me and promised to never do anything like that again. But even as I said the words, I knew they were hollow. I had made a mistake, and there was no taking it back. I hated the person who took the video of me dancing over the club's table, and I knew that I had to find out who it was, because with their forward tendencies, they had destroyed my relationship with Alex. I also had to find the person who told him the guest house we had booked in. I thought I had friends who would have my back no matter what, but I had snakes, and I realized that very late. Over the next few weeks, Alex distanced himself from me. He stopped answering my calls and texts, and I knew he was punishing me for my mistake. I tried to reach out to him, but he wouldn't have it. During those weeks, I had found out who had sent the guest house's location and a video of me dancing over the table to Alex. Well, one of the girls that I had thought were friends had sent it to Polly, my ex-friend. And Polly, because she was the one who had Alex's numbers, she had forwarded it to him just to spite me. I just couldn't believe it. I thought the girls had my back, but clearly they didn't. Instead, they were backstabbers. I also found out that one of the girls was jealous of my relationship with Alex because she had a crush on him back in high school since they had gone to the same high school. But Alex never paid attention to her. And she was not Polly's friend at that time, so her jealousy and envy made her think of destroying my relationship with Alex just because of a crazy love crush. After weeks of begging and trying to reach out to Alex, he finally called me back. I was happy and hopeful, thinking that he was finally getting back to himself and he had forgiven me. You know, I had that hope that says, relax, since he had reached out to you, it meant something good, not knowing that my hope and faith was deceiving me. I had hoped for nothing because he asked to meet up with me, well, more like he invited me to his apartment, not knowing that he wanted to drop a very huge and destroying bomb. So I went there with confidence. I even shaved my nana and bought new lingerie, thinking it was going to be a meeting to kiss and make up everything. My heart was full of hope that I was getting my man back, despite what my jealous ex-friend had done. When I got there, he didn't look happy to see me as I was, but I brushed that off, thinking I had come when he had just woken up. I knew that he would get grumpy when he woke up and didn't feel like talking to anyone, so I understood. He appreciated that I had honored his invitation. Then he told me that we had to talk. My heart was pounding out of my ribcage. I got suddenly scared of what he wanted to say. He didn't even beat around the bush. He just told me straight to my face that he had lost attraction to me ever since he received the video of me dancing on top of the table in the club, and the thing that I had told him about the guy that I saw at the club. He said a lot of heartbreaking words. I tried apologizing and begging him to give me another chance to right my wrongs. But he just bluntly told me that he couldn't, and he wouldn't be with a person who didn't respect herself. I admit I did wrong and went all nasty with the guy I saw at the club, but we didn't even go far or made out. The only thing I did with him was kissing him and touching him here and there, nothing more. And as for dancing on top of the table, I was just letting loose and having fun, but all that cost me my man. One stupid night and one stupid mistake that I made when I was sloshed took away my love from me. How can one silly night take away my 3 years relationship? I wished I didn't go to that girl's weekend getaway, but I wanted to rewind because Alex was also distant and didn't want to speak with me sometimes. I was stressed about him to the point that I drank all my sorrows away. I wanted to forget about the way he was treating me even though I was his girlfriend. As much as I was wrong, I blamed him for everything that I had done, because if he was not stressing me out, I wouldn't have made the mistake that I did. After he said everything that he wanted to say, I went back home with a very heavy, broken heart. I was so devastated. I had never felt so low in my life. I felt like I had disappointed myself and ruined my own life. I had always been the perfect girlfriend, always putting my boyfriend's needs before my own. And I couldn't understand why he would just throw me away like that, like I had never meant anything to him, or our relationship never meant anything to him. I felt like I had lost a part of myself, like I was missing a limb. How can one mistake ruin my chance to love like this? I couldn't believe that the person I had loved so much had just dumped me like a used teabag. I was in real denial. I couldn't get myself to accept that I had lost Alex. So after a few days, I tried to reach out to my ex-boyfriend to try to understand what had happened and why he had broken up with me, but he just ignored me. He had blocked me on all social media and wouldn't answer my calls or texts. It was like he had disappeared from my life completely, and that shattered me to the core. A few weeks passed, and I was left alone to pick up the pieces of my shattered heart. I spent days in bed, unable to eat or sleep, just staring at the ceiling and wondering what I had done wrong. I felt like I was drowning in my own tears, like I was suffocating under the weight of my own grief. My parents were worried about me because they were taking turns on checking if I was still okay. It was just too much to bear. I couldn't even face my own parents. I felt like the shame of a mistake I had made was written on my forehead, and the whole world was seeing what I had done. I was slowly sinking into depression. I had no friends, no boyfriend. I was just me. I had cut all of the friends I had because I couldn't trust them anymore. I didn't know who to and not to trust anymore because they had shown me that they were not real friends that one could rely on, but they were poisonous snakes that would bite you and leave you with a very huge scar and a deadly poison in your system that would eat all your body cells and destroys them bit by bit until you were left with nothing, then you would die. Those were the friends I had. 2 weeks of feeling sorry for myself and closing myself in my bedroom, I then decided to wake up and stop having a pity party for myself because it was not going to unbreak my heart, nor bring back Alex, or undo the mistake that I made. So I began to realize that I needed to get up and move on. I couldn't change the past, but I could control my future. I started by taking care of myself, by eating healthy and exercising regularly. I also started seeing a therapist to help me work through my feelings and come to terms with the breakup. I knew that I had stressed my parents a lot because my mother was no longer herself. She had lost a few kilos, and I felt really bad about that because if I didn't act like I was the first person to be heartbroken and to be dumped, I wouldn't have stressed them like that. Which was also the reason why I had taken the decision to go on a healing journey. Not for myself only, but also my parents. They deserved getting their daughter back. It wasn't easy, but I slowly began to heal. I started to focus on my own needs and desires rather than constantly trying to please my ex-boyfriend. I also started to explore my own interests and hobbies, like painting and hiking, and I discovered a new sense of purpose and joy in my life. I had to heal completely first before I would think of having another guy in my life again. I had to learn a few techniques of controlling temptations and alcohol before I started dating again. Even though it was not going to be like the relationship I had with Alex, I had to move on. The relationship I had with Alex, I used to call it something special and rare because of how we used to be and how we loved each other, but then I blew all that. As the months passed, I began to feel like myself again. I still had moments of sadness and regret, but they were fewer and farther between. I had learnt to let go of the past and embrace the present, and I was starting to see a bright future ahead of me. My parents were happy with my improvement, so I decided to start a small business that would help me not to be cooped up in the house the whole day. Since I had qualifications in interior designing, I decided to venture into that business. It was not easy starting it from the start, but I did, with the support I got from my parents. So, as I was still on my healing journey, I started to notice other men looking at me with interest. I had always been confident and outgoing, but now I felt like a shadow of my former self. I was hesitant to date again, fearing that I would only end up hurting someone else. I didn't trust myself fully to be committed to someone else. My heart was still on Alex, but I knew that I had to move on and find love again. So months later, I met a man named Jonathan. He was kind, funny, and handsome, and he seemed to see something in me that no one else had seen in a long time. We started dating, and I found myself falling for him. Jonathan was different from Alex, He wasn't perfect, but he was real. He had flaws and imperfections just like everyone else. And as I got to know him, I realized that I didn't need someone who was perfect. I just needed someone who was real. Someone who would love me for me even with my flaws and imperfections. As the months passed, my relationship with Jonathan grew stronger. We laughed together, cried together, and supported each other through thick and thin. I realized that I had found love again, and that it was possible to move on from my past and find happiness. I had even introduced Jonathan to my parents. Well, my parents were very welcoming and warm-hearted, but my father somehow became overprotective of me ever since I had gone through that depressing stage, which resulted in me almost losing myself and my life. When they say your past always finds a way to catch up on you, or your karma always finds a way to knock on your doorstep? What happened to me during my happy moment was the meaning of those phrases. When you had thought all is well, you had healed, moved on, and finally found true love and happiness, there will always be trials and tribulations that would want to get in the way of your happiness. A year later, after I had even forgotten what had happened in the past, I was happy. My life had finally fallen into place. Thinking I had finally found my happy ending and my business was going well. Jonathan had proposed after a year of us dating. Well, he had tried proposing after a few months on our relationship, but I turned him down, which had led to a very huge argument. Thinking I was stringing him along and I was stuck on my ex-boyfriend, which was kinda true, because I hadn't fully recovered from the breakup, and I still needed more time to learn more about him and learn to love him fully without looking for Alex in him. He didn't talk to me for days until he came back to his senses and allowed me to explain why I had turned down his engagement proposal. Since then, I knew that Jonathan loved me, despite everything and anything. He saw me for me. But then, there are always cockroaches who always try by all means to destroy a good thing. So months after Jonathan had proposed for the second time, someone had decided to just wake up and want to ruin my life. Jonathan showed a video of me dancing on the club's table during the trip that I had taken with my ex-girlfriends. And unbelievably, that person also posted a picture of getting all kinky and naughty with the stranger that I had met in Dubai. My past mistakes were catching up on me really bad. I didn't know what to do. I was truly shocked and surprised by the sudden humiliation that person had done. Jonathan got angry at me for hiding such an incrementing history. He also dumped me and called me a snake because I didn't tell him the whole truth about my past while he had poured everything on me about him and his past. I understood his anger, and he had every right to be, but I couldn't beg him, I couldn't allow myself to nag and beg another guy like I did with Alex, so I told him that if he wanted to leave me like how my ex-boyfriend did, the door was open. The only door that was closed was the door of begging and nagging. So, as much as I somehow wished he had done things differently and didn't leave, but I couldn't, and I didn't stop him from leaving. He told me that he couldn't be with a woman who didn't respect herself, and if he was to stay and try to make things out with me, it was not going to be the same because he would look at me and see the video and a picture of me in Dubai. I knew there and then that all the love, realness, and care was actually fake. I mean, if you love a person, you accept them with their burden and past rights. So why couldn't and why wouldn't he do that? My clients retrenched their contract with me after they had seen the video and a picture. It was another tragic and hardest moment of my life. but I couldn't allow myself to go back to where I was. So I worked very hard to prove that my past mistakes don't define me, my present, and my future. I had already moved out of my parents' house to get my own place since the interior designing business was doing well and making profits. I had learned to forgive myself and move on from things that were hurting me the hard way. So with the money I had on my accounts, I hired a private investigator to investigate who had posted the video and a picture and find out why they would stoop so low to destroy my life. My parents and my business mentor were truly amazing to me. The support they had given me was beyond measure. I would really appreciate them even if I were to take my last breath. So a week later, a private investigator got back to me with the feedback information, and I couldn't believe the person who had posted my picture and a video. Well, it was actually 2 people who did that. For what reason, I also don't know till today. I found out that Alex, my ex-boyfriend, was the one who had leaked the video and wrote the nasty caption about me. Well, I should have known that the video had Alex written all over it. I don't even know how I missed his writing or typing style. He had called me all sorts of names and told the whole world that I had played with his heart and broke it. He even wrote that he had seen a future with me, but my loose self had ruined everything. What caught my eyes more and shut me was the part where he had written about how much of a disgrace in women's species, and he wished me nothing but full of pain and suffering, just like how he had suffered when he found out about my video. That really did a number on me, and people were bashing me, agreeing with what Alex had written. On the other hand, the person who had posted the picture of me getting naughty with the handsome guy from the club was actually my ex-friend, the one who had a crush on Alex. I didn't understand what her problem with me was because she had destroyed me and my relationship once, so why would she want to do the same thing all over again? And the worst part, I had broken up with Alex. Meaning that she had a chance to be with him like she had wished to? My father always told me to stop living to please people and looking for validation in other people, because at the end of the day, when I die, I would die alone, just like how I was born. So giving my attention to what people were saying about me meant I was giving them power over me to destroy me. And if I react to everything they say or post about me, it would mean that I was giving them a platform to keep on hurting me, and they would always win. What my father said to me really helped me think more about my life and that I shouldn't live my life to please people, because a human being never gets satisfied. So if I gave them the platform that they were seeking for in my life, they would continue striking and keep bringing my past to destroy me. As angry and humiliated as I was, I continued running my business. Yes, I had lost clients, but I didn't lose myself this time around. And I vowed to myself to make sure that I elevate instead of going down. They can say whatever they want to say or post whatever they wish to post about me, but I was not going to allow them to take me down. Jonathan had tried to reach out to me after a whole month and asked to meet up with me so we could talk about us and our relationship. I allowed him to come to my house and he started apologizing about the way he reacted and that stupid and lousy excuse. I told him that I was forgiving him, but when it came to our relationship, I didn't think it was going to work out because he had shown me his true colors. He had proved himself to be an unreliable person and that he would always run away whenever things go south, or he finds something about me and my past mistakes, so I was fine alone. Ever since then, I didn't even try to get into any relationships. It had only been me and my parents. And I had been so much at peace and happy. Alex came to see me at my workplace to apologize, but I gave him the same answer that I had given Jonathan. I am now living my life for myself and I am truly happy without any man. My small mistake taught me to look deeper in people before letting them in my life and use the love word. As much as I had done wrong by Alex, do you guys think I took the right decision not to fight for him? Or do you think it was a good idea to let go of Jonathan? Please give me some tips and advice on how I should have dealt with the issues. If I could turn back the hands of time, I would. I'm currently in a state of chaos. My whole world is crumbling before me. For the first time in my life, I regret listening to my dad. I regret ever knowing him. Even more, I regret that he is my father. Hey, don't judge me. I love my dad so much, but he has ruined my life. Taking my dad's advice to cheat on my husband has made my life a living hell. I have done something that I'm not proud of and will regret for the rest of my life. What should I do, guys? I'm so scared right now. I don't know how my husband will react when he finds out I cheated on him. And it was my dad that gave me the ridiculous advice. My name is Kathy, and I'm a 24-year-old teacher, and I live in a small town called Burford, which is located on the River Windrush, in the Cotswolds, England. I'm married to my best friend. His name is Josh. Josh is a pilot. Josh and I have been married for 2 years now. I always describe Josh as my soulmate, my best friend, and everything. The more I think about it, the more I hate myself for what I have done. Josh and I have been together 6 years now, and we got married 2 years ago. Josh and I met when I was 18 years old, and ever since then, my life has been like a fairy tale until I cheated on Josh with our housekeeper, Charles. My dad advised me to cheat on Josh because before Josh and I got married, he clearly stated that he is not ready to be a father. He told me without mincing any words that he doesn't want children. I was taken aback a little, but I love Josh so much, and I thought I could change his mind after marriage, and that our love can conquer all. But I was wrong. Josh remained adamant about not wanting children. He went as far as having a vasectomy when he saw how desperate I became. My dad advised me to cheat on Josh with someone else, so I could get pregnant. My dad knows how much I love children. It was my love for children that made me become a teacher in the first place. I love teaching. Teaching is my passion. I love spending time with children. That's why my dad advised me to cheat on Josh and get pregnant to test Josh's love for me. It will just be a one-time thing, he said. According to my dad, if Josh truly loved me as he claims, he would forgive me for cheating on him and accept me in the pregnancy. I listened to my dad, guys. I cheated on Josh with our housekeeper, Charles. Please don't judge me. I was desperate. I'm disgusted by my actions. It's been 3 months now and I'm not pregnant. I think I have ruined my once happy and perfect life. Josh doesn't know what happened yet. I've managed to keep it a secret from him for the past 3 months. I know I'm shameless and selfish for doing that, but I really do not have an explanation. My survival instinct and desire to keep my marriage just kicked in, and I desired to keep my mouth shut and keep everything from Josh. I know telling Josh I cheated on him to get pregnant and to test his love for me could end our marriage. Josh is a good man. He doesn't deserve this betrayal from me. He always told me that if at any point in our marriage I wanted to leave and go, start another family, that I should not hesitate, but I can't imagine my life without Josh. My life without Josh has no meaning. I couldn't bring myself to leave Josh even though I wanted children. I don't know what to do now. Should I confess to Josh, or I should continue pretending like nothing has happened? Update. Hi guys, it's me again. I decided to keep this secret with me forever, but Charles, my housekeeper whom I slept with, is blackmailing me. He is demanding a huge sum of money from me, or else he will expose our one-time affair to Josh. I'm confused right now. It turned out he has pictures and videos of everything that happened on that fateful day. What was I thinking? Why did I listen to my dad? The same man who could not stay faithful to my mom. The same man who has been married and divorced for 3 consecutive times. I mean, I love my dad so much. He is a good father, but was never a good husband to my mom or any of his other wives. It was his fatherly love for me that made him advise me to cheat on Josh and get pregnant so I can test whether Josh truly loves me. But things didn't go as planned, and now I'm stuck with the consequences of my actions. I can't believe I used my own hands to ruin my life. Josh is beginning to suspect me. He has been asking what's wrong with me. According to him, I'm no longer the bubbly Kathy he fell for and got married to, and that I have become a shadow of myself. He said something is wrong somewhere, but he can't place it yet. Josh has been trying to put a smile on my face, which is making me feel more guilty. He suggested we go on vacation after school closes for the session. He has been getting me expensive gifts just to cheer me up. One thing about Josh is he can go to any length just to see me happy. There's nothing Josh will not do except having kids, of course. He never told me why he doesn't want kids, but whatever the reason is, I don't care at this point because I know I messed up. On one hand, I'll hate myself for cheating on Josh with Charles. On the other side is Charles blackmailing me and asking me for a huge amount of money I don't have. Where will I get the money from now? I'm just a preschool teacher. I can't afford the amount of money he is asking me to pay. What should I do? Should I ask Josh for the money and pay Charles, or should I confess everything to Josh? Update. Hey guys. I'm back again. I paid Charles off. I asked Josh to give me the money, and he was surprised because I have never made that kind of outrageous demand before. He asked me what I needed the money for and lied to him that my dad is down with kidney failure and needs a kidney transplant urgently. Josh gave me the money immediately and said he will make out time to see my dad soon. He's a pilot and has to be ready for his flights, so he has no time on his hands. I hope that he never has a chance to meet my dad yet, because if that happens, and Josh ever finds out I cheated on him with Charles, and that I lied about my dad having a kidney transplant, that will be the end of my beautiful marriage. I'm forever dreading that day. Hopefully Charles is gone. I paid Charles the money he requested, and I asked him to resign from his job as our housekeeper, and he should also destroy the pictures and videos. He has resigned, but he refused to destroy the pictures and videos. There was nothing I could do, so I let it go. I was just happy because he was out of my sight. I really hope he is gone for good, because the more I see him, the more guilty I feel. My life had been back to normal since Charles got out of my life. Don't get me wrong, I still felt guilty from time to time, but I was finding peace with myself again. So I thought until Josh asked for us to go pay my dad a visit. What was I thinking? Nothing can be hidden forever. Definitely not a lie. What should I do now? Josh is asking, we go see Dad after I told him the surgery is successful and he is recovering well at home. I'm lost right now. How should I handle this? Josh will find out the truth when we go to my dad's house, and he finds out my dad was never sick and didn't have a kidney transplant. I'm on the verge of breaking down right now. I can't breathe well. I don't know what to do right now. My dad has ruined my life. I wish he truly has kidney failure. Well, not really. Taking my dad's advice has ruined everything for me. I can't even recognize myself again. I'm desperate right now. Yes, I'm desperate to save my marriage. I'm losing my mind right now. Should I confess everything to Josh? Not that I have a choice, right? Update. Hey guys, it's me again. I didn't confess, at least not yet. I called my dad and told everything that had happened. I asked him to fix the mess. Yes, he caused everything. I blame my dad for everything, but I can't deny I also played a part. I wish I didn't listen to him, but it's too late to apportion blame now, and I have gone too far in lying to turn back. My dad called Josh and thanked him for the money. He asked him not to visit now, as he is not allowed to receive visitors for now, because according to the doctors, his immune system is low, which makes him more vulnerable to diseases and might make his recovery hard. Once again, I escaped being caught, and my dad's little lie has saved me. I told you all he is a good father to some extent, but I'm not dumb, and I know that all this is just temporary. Josh is smart, and it's only a matter of time before he finds out the truth. Everything seemed to be fine, but it was just temporary. I almost forgot to tell you all that Charles showed up in my house again, this time, with ridiculous demands. Charles is asking for more money. Apparently, he gambled away all the money I gave him, and he is back for more, just like people like him do. He is also asking to transfer the ownership of our house to him, or else he will expose everything to Josh. This demand is ridiculous, but I don't have a choice. I'm desperate. I want to save my marriage. I asked him to give me time to think about everything, but he refused. He vowed to take everything from me. He turned me into a housekeeper in my own house, and he pretends to visit us just to remind me of what I owe him. He asks me to serve him food when Josh is not around, and sometimes he makes me do his laundry secretly. All these are outrageous, but a lie once told always has to be covered with more lies. Until I'm ready to tell the truth, I can't do anything. Charles knows that, and that's why he's threatening me. I was living in fear in my own house because I was afraid of what Charles would do next. Some weeks later, Josh returned back from his trip and met Charles in our home. He was displeased to see Charles because we had already hired another housekeeper after Charles resigned without giving him any notice. He demanded to know why Charles was in our house again because his visits became frequent, but Charles was unnecessarily rude to him. Josh called me into our bedroom and asked why I allowed Charles into our home. I had to make up something before I got caught. I told him Charles was stranded and that I'm just squatting him and that he will be gone in a day or two. Josh reluctantly allowed Charles to stay but gave 2 days to leave. Guys, you already know what that meant, right? It meant I had 2 days to settle Charles or else he would expose me. I decided to give Charles what he wanted, yes. I decided to steal Josh's money and also decided to meet with my attorney and transfer the house to Charles. He promised. After that, he will delete the pictures and videos and I will finally be free. Josh will never get to know about my affair with Charles and the lies I have told so far. I sound stupid, and I know what I want to do is risky, but I never want to lose my husband. I'm desperate. What have I done to myself? Update. I got caught, guys. Yes, you read that right. Josh finally caught me. I have been exposed. My karma came early. The lies I have been trying to hide have been exposed. I didn't know Josh installed a CCTV camera in our home. He has been monitoring me ever since I requested that huge money for my dad's allegedly kidney transplant. He listened to my conversations, and he knows about my affairs with Charles. He told me he was waiting for the right time to confront me, and no better time than now that I'm trying to transfer our house to Charles. The day I wanted to steal the money and house documents, Josh had gone for a trip. I thought it was the perfect time to take the documents and some money. I didn't know Josh had taken every valuable thing from the safe. I saw an empty safe. I was shocked. I didn't know what had happened. At first I suspected Charles, but if it was Charles, he wouldn't still be there. I summoned some courage and called Josh. I called Josh and told him our house had been robbed. He was calm, which was even more alarming. It was then he told me he took everything from the safe and that he was aware of everything I have done. I was perplexed. He said he was only waiting to see how far I was ready to go, and surprisingly, I went very far. He asked me to leave his house before he got back from the trip. He ended the call immediately. I tried calling back, but he blocked me, and I wasn't able to reach him. So after the call, it felt like my whole life had crumbled. The first thing I did was to get Charles out of my house. Of course, he threatened to expose everything to Josh, and I told him I didn't care. He refused to go, and he even wanted to go physical with me. But our new housekeeper came just in time to save me. I called security, and they threw Charles out of the house. Josh arrived 2 days later, and he was angry I was still in the house. He was furious. I have never seen him that angry. I tried to explain everything to him, but he refused to listen. All efforts to make him listen to me proved abortive. He despised me, and I could tell from looking at his eyes. He said it was over, and that I should leave his house. I tried begging him, but he was adamant about me leaving. One toxic thing about Josh is that he never changes his mind once his mind has been made up. Josh threw my boxes outside and instructed the security never to allow me into the house ever again. He asked me to return the money he gave me for my dad's alleged kidney transplant. He took everything he ever bought for me. He did not allow me to take anything except my boxes. He took the keys of the car he bought for me, the jewelry, and everything he ever provided for me without any remorse. Josh asked me to sign the divorce papers before leaving, but I refused because deep down I thought he still loved me and we could still work on our marriage. Of course, I knew he was angry, but I thought time would heal everything, and he would forgive me for cheating on him. I thought he loved me so much that he would never let me go. As a matter of fact, I used to believe I was his weakness, his best friend and soulmate. I used to think that no matter what, he would always come back to me and we can work on our marriage. I'm not perfect, neither is Josh perfect. We are two imperfect souls. But now I don't think that's possible because Josh has ignored my whole existence. Update. Hey guys, it's me. I'm back again. What I feared the most has happened. I'm divorced now. Yes, I'm single. This is not how I pictured my life. I never knew I ever got divorced because I married an incredible man that loved me so much, but unfortunately I jeopardized everything. When Josh and I got married 2 years ago, I vowed to never get divorced. I always hated divorce because of the stigma that comes with it. My dad has been married and divorced 3 times in a row, and I have seen how society stigmatized him. I never knew I would one day follow in his footsteps. After Josh sent me away that day, I left for my dad's place. He was surprised when he saw me because he wasn't expecting me. When I narrated everything to him, He opened his arms wide and hugged me. I pushed him away and blamed him for everything. I told him things I regretted later because even though he advised me to cheat on my husband, he never put a gun to my head to do it. I told him horrible things, how he had been married and divorced 3 times, how he is a failure, how never loved anybody but himself. My dad listened to everything I had to say and never said a word. Later, when I was calmer, he called me. I thought he wanted to scold me for cursing him, but instead he apologized. He admitted to being wrong. That is the first time I'm my dad accepting his wrongs. My dad is an egoistic man. He never accepts he is wrong. Even though his 3 marriages ended in divorce, he didn't fault himself. Instead, he blamed the women for being after his money. He told me he is sorry for ruining my life and that he thought I would get pregnant after the affair and have my own child because he knows how much I love children. That was why I chose teaching as a profession. He promised he will go see Josh the next day. I was anxious about how the meeting would go, but I still allowed my dad to go see Josh. Maybe when Josh hears the truth from my dad, he will have a change of mind and forgive me. I mean, I know it was selfish of me to sleep with our housekeeper because I wanted to have a child, but I still had hope he might forgive me when he hears the truth that it was my dad's idea. Josh respects my dad so much. He will listen to him and forgive me, and everything will be back to how it used to be. So I thought, but I was wrong. That day I waited for my dad to return from Josh's place, but he never came back. I tried calling his line several times, but there was no response. I was devastated and worried. My mind was all over the place. I decided to visit Josh the next day to find out about where my dad was, but I was denied entrance into the house by the security at the gate. I tried calling Josh, but he blocked my line so I could not reach him. I decided to go to the police station and complain about my dad's disappearance. Nothing prepared me for the shock I experienced when I saw my dad at the police station. Apparently, Josh arrested my dad when he came to apologize. Things got heated between them, and he arrested my dad. When I asked the policeman for the proof, I discovered that Josh accused my dad of extorting money from him through me by pretending to be down with a kidney failure. My dad was arrested on the count of fraud. Josh gave me 2 conditions before he will bail my dad. I finally saw him after I made a scene outside the gate. He asked the security to let me in. When I came in, I saw another woman in my matrimonial home wearing my nightie. I could not believe my eyes. How Josh moved on so soon, I thought we were soulmates. I thought we were destined to be together forever. I was so disappointed I couldn't even cry. The lady gave me a distraught look and said in her exact words, "Why are you here?" I ignored her and made my way upstairs, but she blocked me. She told me to wait downstairs, that Josh will soon be down. I couldn't believe there was a stranger in my house wearing my nightie and asking me not to go see my husband in our bedroom. While I was trying to process everything, Josh came downstairs, and he was even more furious than he was before when he sent me packing. He asked Olivia, I begged him to please release my dad from the police station, and he gave 2 conditions. 1, that I will refund double of the money he gave me for my dad's alleged kidney transplant, and 2, that I will sign the divorce papers. I tried begging him, but he refused to listen and threatened to throw me out if I'm not ready to accept his conditions. When I saw his mind was made up, I stopped begging and accepted my fate. At that moment, I was ready to sign the divorce papers. My poor father was suffering in the police station, and I will go to any length to see him released. Nothing matters to me again than my dad's freedom. I have lost my marriage, my best friend, and my soulmate. I cannot lose my dad too. I accepted his conditions. I signed the divorce papers, and he gave me 24 hours to raise the money. My whole world was crumbling just as I had feared. I could not believe what was happening to me. I sold my dad's house so I could meet up with Josh's deadline. That was the only inheritance my dad left for me. I had to sell it to raise money. I also sold all the furniture we had in the house. I gave the money to Josh and my dad was released. Update. Hi guys, I'm back again. After Dad was released, we became homeless. There was no house to come back to because I had sold everything. Thankfully, he moved in with his brother while I went to squat with my friend. You would think after the divorce, Josh will finally allow me to be, but you guessed wrong. He has decided to continue frustrating my life. He made sure I was sacked from the school I taught at. He knows I love teaching, and he is trying to take everything I love from me. Like I said, Josh is a pilot, so he has the finances and connections to do whatever he likes. Even though I worked, I solely depended on his money. I was sacked, and life became more miserable. I couldn't even afford a sanitary pad. I can still feed thanks to my childhood friend Monica. She offered me food and shelter while I continued job hunting. Josh made the principal in my former school spread lies about me, that I'm unprofessional with children. So it was hard for me to secure a job. Josh vowed to make my life a living hell, and he succeeded. The more I applied for jobs, the more rejection later I got. I never imagined that something like that was possible, but I'm a testimony. I was devastated. Worst of all, my dad was sick, and I couldn't afford to buy drugs for him. I was dead broke. My poor dad never recovered from being locked up by the very man he took like a son he never had. My dad was fond of Josh. They played golf together whenever my dad visited, and Josh would let him win all the time. They were so fond of each other. Everything happened so fast, now all that is left is regret. My dad has been down ever since everything happened, whether it's the guilt of destroying his only child marriage, or the fact that he lost his house, or being locked up by the person he once loved like a son. He blames himself, and I see the guilt in his eyes every day. Even though Josh and I are divorced, I have always fantasized about getting back together. I never lost hope. You can imagine my happiness when I got a message from Josh to come to the house that he had a surprise for me. I was happy. I thought finally he forgave me and he was ready for us to start over again. This time, ready to spend forever with him, I'm ready to let go of my thoughts of having my own children. I was so excited I dashed out barefooted, but I had to run back. I pinched myself to make sure I wasn't dreaming. I never knew this day would ever come. My dream of reuniting with Josh, my ex-husband, was cut short again. I never knew he wanted to give me a lifetime humiliation. I arrived at Josh's place, and it was like a carnival. Everybody was present. I was happy. I thought he was about to ask me to marry him again like he did the first time. So I thought, silly me, I never knew what was awaiting me. When I got to the living room, all eyes were on me. I wanted to disappear. Everyone gave me a disdainful look. It felt like a witch had just walked in. I felt unwanted. No one answered my greetings. Everybody avoided me. I wanted to leave when I saw Monica, my best friend, who I have been staying with ever since the divorce. I felt relaxed again. I thought Josh had contacted Monica so they could organize a surprise party for me. How delusional. I called Monica and she avoided me like everyone else. I thought they didn't want to give the surprise away. That is why everyone is avoiding me, but I was wrong. While I was putting everything together, I saw Josh's mom and I went to say hi to her, but she also ignored me. I'm not surprised by actions because she never ignored me. She never wanted Josh to marry me because to her I was a gold digger. She even went as far as trying to buy me off so I could leave her son. But I rejected the money. I kept this away from Josh because I didn't want to cause a rift between them. I know how much Josh adorned his mother. Josh came downstairs after some time, but I was surprised he also avoided me. I thought he had called me for something else. It was then that I finally began to realize that I had been brought to face my own humiliation. But I just sat there like a fool. He went straight to the front, took the microphone from the music band, and went one knee, but nobody prepared me for what came next. I was expecting Josh to walk towards me and tell me he forgave me, but I was wrong. He walked up to Monica, my best friend, and I was shocked. I didn't know what was happening. I was even more shocked when Monica held hands with him. Josh went on to tell everyone how I cheated on him with our housekeeper, Charles, and how I planned with my dad so we could take over his property. He went on to tell the guests how I wanted to make him lose his job. I was very shocked because I never said any of that. I mean, have you guys ever been in a situation where lies are being told about you? Apparently, when I was being blackmailed by Charles and I ran to Monica to see whether she could lend me some money and had to tell her everything, she backstabbed me. She betrayed me and went behind my back to tell Josh lies. I finally understood why Josh had refused to listen to me. The lies were ridiculous and like something out of a movie, but Josh believed her. I finally understood why he was using every means to hurt me. Josh believed Monica because Monica is my best friend. The shocker is Monica was my maid of honor at our wedding. How could she betray me like this? Monica has always wanted a husband like mine. She never always told me that. I always suspected she had a crush on Josh, but I never knew she would stab me like this. I just thought her side remarks about my marriage were normal and that I had nothing to worry about. I'd always been so busy thinking of having a child that I stopped paying attention to details. I finally understood what Josh meant when he said he would take everything away from me. I have lost everything: my husband, my marriage, and now my best friend. I wanted to leave the party, but I was stopped by Josh's mom. She told me how she warned me 6 years ago to leave her son, but I refused. But she told me something I will forever be grateful for. She told me the reason Josh doesn't want kids. Can you guys guess the reason? It's because Josh was neglected as a child by his father. His father never treated him with love. His father always cursed him. Josh's father was a violent man, and he was a drunkard. It's surprising that a drunk was able to birth a child as good as Josh. Josh didn't want to have kids because he thought he'd start drinking like his father and blame his child for his faults. It hurts me that he refused to tell me something this deep before we got married. After listening to the reason Josh doesn't want kids, the hate I had for him vanished and felt pity for him. Instead of hating Josh, I was feeling sorry for him. Why didn't he tell me this? I would have held his hand till the very end. I guess the reason he didn't tell me was because he didn't want me to feel sorry for him. Well, I had to stop feeling sorry for him when I realized my ex-husband and ex-best friend got married. Yes, you read that right. Josh and Monica got married, and the wedding was a lot. After the betrayal from Josh and Monica, I decided to forge my life with what was left. I managed to find a job at a retail store as a sales rep. The manager was kind enough to allow me to sleep in the store after work. Update. Hi guys, I'm back again. Life has been tough. I have been through a lot, but I'm grateful for the little progress. I'm beginning to pick up my life again. One piece at a time. Life was moving slowly but steady until I met Charles again. That was the beginning of another endless journey of blackmail. Apparently, he still had the naked pictures and videos of me on his phone. He vowed to post them online if I don't do as he says. Every day he will come by the retail store to ask me for more money. Slowly, I started losing everything I had managed to gather again. I was confused and lost. I was slowly becoming a shadow of myself again. Things got worse. I had to quit and stop working at the retail store because Charles was asking me to steal money from the store and give it to him so he can use it to gamble, or else he will post my nude on all social media. I had to quit because the manager has been so nice to me, and I don't want to hurt her by stealing from her. She took me in and trusted me at a time where everyone is guarded and protective of their space. I didn't want to break that trust. After her, I tendered my resignation letter to her. She asked me why I wanted to quit my job or if I have gotten any better offer. I refused to tell her, but she insisted I tell her, or she won't accept my resignation. After so much thought, I decided to open up to her. I told her everything that I have been through. After telling her everything, she felt pity for me and advised me to report to the appropriate authorities. But Charles had warned me that the moment I involved the police, he would post my pictures on all social media. I decided to not inform the police because I can't bear to see my nude online. After my resignation, I decided to run away to my uncle's place in Clovelly, Devon, England. But before I could leave, I didn't know how Charles got to know I was trying to run away. My worst nightmare finally came to pass. Charles had uploaded my nude on all social media platforms, and it was trending. Everyone in the town gossiped about me. I was the talk of the town. Everyone blamed me for leaving my husband and getting in bed with an ordinary housekeeper. No one cared to ask me the reason I did what I did. They all judged me and called me names. I felt that was the end and I didn't want to live again. I have lost everything because of a silly mistake I made. I wished I never listened to my father's advice. I wished I never even visited him on the fateful day. I lost everything the very day I got in bed with Charles. I wished I never hired him when he came crying a year ago that he needed a job. I took pity on him and gave him a job. Now he has become torn in my flesh. I finally left the town and went to stay with my dad and uncle in Clovelly. With the help of my uncle, I was able to secure a job as a teacher in a nearby school. Life was beginning to make sense again, and my relationship with my dad never got to how it was before, because I blamed him for ruining my life. I have forgiven him, but I can't seem to forget. The scar is forever fresh in my heart. Josh and Monica are still together. I hope Josh finds all the happiness I couldn't give him in Monica. As for Charles, I heard he was arrested and sent to jail. I've had a rough life, and I can't imagine that a single decision led to many consequences. I can't believe that I've gone from having it all to having nothing at all. My life became a bad movie, and I'm still trying to process everything. Well, I hope everyone learns from my story and doesn't make the kind of mistakes I made. Also, never let other people's opinion make your choices in life. Don't marry a person whose life doesn't follow yours. Know that it's not all advice you should take, and definitely not from a man who has been divorced 3 times. Lol. Thanks and goodbye.